All right, we'll get started here in just a moment. Welcome, everybody. And hopefully audio is working okay and you can see me visually. It looks like all systems are go. So we'll get started in about a minute. All right, well, welcome to Stock Analysis Friday. It's great to have everybody here. And today, of course, is December 15th, 2023. So happy holidays to everybody as well. All right, well, this week, the market has made a new high on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And I would imagine that's going to carry through to the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ as well. So that changes the outlook that we had earlier, that we were in a long-term correction. Because we've made this new high in the Dow, that was now considered a minor correction because it never went to the levels that it needed to really confirm a long-term correction. So that's the good and the bad. The good is that probably we're going to have a fairly good first half in 2024, maybe a little longer. But the unfortunate thing is we're due for a long-term correction after this next big surge up. So sometime maybe in the latter half of 2024, we may be topping. We'll have to see. It could come a little before that, but we'll keep an eye on it for you. We're also probably due for some profit taking. We've been going up since November now. So I imagine we'll get a pullback probably around, I don't know, 3,400 on the Dow, and then probably another surge upward after that, taking us well into 2024. So that's kind of where we're at now. And, our stock picks have all been to the long side. So we've done a great job following the trend up. And that's what we do in trading, right? All right, so let's move on here. I want to go through, I have a few administrational items to cover before we get started today. And that includes our risk disclaimer. We want you to realize that trading the financial markets is a unique endeavor, and it does involve risk. So you want to be trading with money you can afford to risk, we'll call it risk capital, basically. And also, too, you want to be able to calculate your trade size, which is basically how many shares of a stock you buy or sell, and do that on each and every trade, use stops and things of that nature. We can help you with that. We've been doing this a long time. I've got a couple great books out there on how to do that. So stay tuned. The next slide, I'll show you some of the books that will help you with that. Also, too, past performance, does not guarantee future performance in the market simply because we deal in a realm of probabilities, not certainties. So even though you may have an edge in the markets in terms of you're really good at picking stocks, you win more often than not, you're going to lose some. And you want to protect yourself against those losses, not to let them go large, right? So cut your losers short, as they say, let your winners run. That's really important. And then finally, I would definitely check with your financial advisor or whoever manages your money before taking any of the suggestions we have on trades today, because I don't know your personal situation, they do. And so some of the trades may be appropriate for you, some may not. So definitely check with them before doing anything. All right, now on books for money management, that's a great place to start. I recommend, I have two books out there. One published by Wiley Books called A Trader's Money Management System on the left. That's a fairly comprehensive book. So if you want a deep dive in it, that's a good place to go. And then I came out with another book last year called Money Management for Traders. And this particular book basically strip down all the fluff and really put in there what you need to learn to get going. So it's not as comprehensive as my other book, but it gives you the important information so you can go ahead and implement a good, solid risk control program into your trading, regardless of what you trade. If you trade futures, and you know, we do that as well, futures, Forex, stocks, you can apply good risk control on all those markets. And then I have the survival guide for traders, which basically is a book, a reference book. And it's a great reference book for running your business right out of your home like a professional hedge fund. So that's a good one to start there as well. Elliott Wave Techniques is a form of technical analysis. I use it a lot. I call it the roadmap of the markets. And it assigns wave counts to different trends in the market. So you'll see me use that today. And then my new book, The Art of Trading, should be out in 2024. This is, I think, going to be one of the best books I've ever written. It's very comprehensive. I keep adding materials on it. You know, we were going to come out with it last year, but I kept writing more and more. And so we're going to tune it up and get it out there in 2024. A lot of pertinent information on today's market, as well as covering a lot of our new software since our first Art of Trading book came out in 2008. So we were due for an upgrade, and Wiley wanted to publish that for us. So those books are available on Amazon or your major bookstores. We have a special Amazon page you can get those on, and you can access that page through our website at traderscoach.com. And also, too, I'll put a link up in the recording. So if you're watching the recording or come back to watch the recording, you can check it out there as well. All right, so when we look at markets today, I'm going to be using a set of trading tools, which I created, and I call it the Ultimate Trading System. And more specifically, it's made up of a lot of indicators and pattern recognition software. And so the pattern recognition software is called the Applied Reality Trading System. It's the ART software. And we're looking at fractals in the market. We're looking at trend trading patterns. We're measuring momentum in the market. And those are giving you high probability trend trading ART pyramids, we call them. You'll see them on the charts when I show you in just a bit, as well as ART reversals and things like that, which are pivot points that we act on in the markets. Then I have confirmation software before taking a trade called the OWL, PTF, TLN, and ERI. I have scanners under that. And then, of course, I have risk control software. We never trade without good risk control, right? So finally, before we get going here, give us a like right now. Apparently that helps us a lot on YouTube. We're not big marketing people here, but we do like our videos to be seen and watched. And if you give us a like, that certainly helps us. So if you guys would take just a moment and do that for us right now, that certainly helps the standing of the video. All right, so let me come out of here. And we'll go ahead and drop into the charts now. And I just quickly will go over a couple things. But before I get started, let me just go over what you're looking at here. So I use a charting platform called NinjaTrader. Our software works on NinjaTrader, TradeStation, MultiCharts, eSignal, and MT4 and MT5. And MT stands for MetaTrader. So we're on a lot of charting platforms. I happen to be using NinjaTrader right now. And what I do is I load our software on 3 charts. So I can look at all 3 charts at the same time. And let me just go over that with you for a moment. So the charts in this example are all of the S&P 500. You can see the symbol loaded on every chart. On the far left-hand chart is the 60-minute chart. And the reason I look at this this is considered a short time frame, is because it gives me a good idea short term of what the particular stock or market I'm looking at is going to do. Then on the middle chart, I take a look at what we call the daily chart. And so when we talk about 60 minutes and daily, it's the length of the price bar, or the timing of the price bar, I should say. So on the 60-minute chart, every price bar you see is 60 minutes. On the daily chart, every price bar is a daily chart. So it takes more information than the 60-minute chart to give us that daily price bar. So that's considered an intermediate look of the market I'm looking at. And then on the right, I have the weekly chart, where every price bar represents a full week of activity. So that's a short-term, intermediate, and a long-term look at the market I want to look at. And it's a really great way to improve your timing. And that's why we do that. And it also gives you an overall look, long-term of where it's going, intermediately where it's going, and then short-term. And of course, you can see our software with the triangles forming on it. That's the ART software. We have indicators at the bottom called the OWL and the PTF, and you'll see me use those. We also have the trend line master down here that draws trend lines, and also the emotional reader index way down here, which is a fear and greed index indicator. All right, so that's kind of what you're looking at on the charts. Up top here, this multicolored window up here, I'll just go like this so you can see it. That is our scanners at work. We're not going to be using those today because you're going to give me symbols specifically to look at. But when we look for trades when we find trades like over the weekend or something, we can load like the entire NASDAQ or the S&P in there, and that will find the best setups based on our form of trading and using our trading tools. So that's kind of cool to have that there. All right, so let me get going here, and I want to go over the S&P before I start looking at individual symbols. Great to have everybody here, by the way. Good morning to you all as well. And this is the S&P 500. Now, the Dow has already broken its 2022 high. The S&P is on its way. And if you look here on the short term, we've got a lot of green. We got green momentum on the OWL, which is measuring momentum. And then we have the PTF indicating more highs are coming. Same thing with here. And this is red because this is a long-term chart. So eventually we're going to get to a top here in the markets, and then we're going to have a long-term correction. And when we do that, it should go below the COVID low at that particular point if that indicator stays red. But that's not going to happen for a while now. So we're going to have a pretty good, at least a good first half of 2024. And then we'll have to see if we start reaching the target ranges in those S&P. Now, I do another webinar in the midweek on the actual market forecast. But for example, just to give you a rough estimate of what could happen here, if we go up here, here, and come down here, we're probably looking at a target here on the S&P between 5,849 to about 7,302. All right, so I think we're probably, when we get into that target, then we got to start worrying about the long-term correction. But you got plenty of time for that, and so just follow the market for now. All right, so I just wanted to share that with you real quick. All right, let's see what we got cooking here. Let's see if we got any stocks coming in. I do want to look at the cryptos while you guys are typing those in. Now, the cryptocurrencies that I'm looking at, these are all ETFs because we're keeping this with basically the stock market here. And on the crypto market, we have had a tremendous run up, especially since we first recommended it when it was just under $10. And now it's at $33.76. I really hope many of you got into that and have enjoyed this run up. We will get a pullback, all right, but we're bullish on this long term, all right? So we could see it drop back down into the 20s when it gets ready to pull back, and that could be happening at any time. And, you know, things don't go up forever. They go up, they a little profit taking, and then they resume. So we're kind of getting ready for that pullback or profit taking stage in the cryptos. And that's going to give you another opportunity to get in if you missed it, or even load up your position again if you want to add on to that. But it's been screaming and doing well, and that goes for Coinbase, that goes for Blocktrain. So we're very bullish on this. I think if we're looking at this at 33.75, I think over the next year or two, we could see it get above 60 at some point. So bullish long term, but it's not going to get up there without going up, pulling back, going up. So, you know, zigzagging its way up there, so to speak. All right, so that is one I think is really excellent, but probably wait for the pullback at some point. All right, let's see what's coming in here. All right, Bill, how are you? All right, so let's take a look at some of yours here. Here is one, SH. Let's start out with that, LS. So let me load that up. Let me put Bill's stocks that he wants to look up there. Okay. All right. So here's a stock that goes back to, looks like about what, 2021. So this is a fairly new stock when we assess the markets. Stocks that are only a couple years old, we consider pretty new. All right. So the difficulty with looking at new stocks is that if we look at the weekly chart on the far right, there's not a lot of history for us to really get a good grasp on the Elliott wave count. You need a little more history on that. So we need to kind of go to the daily chart for that. And even here, it's kind of lacking a little history. The 60-minute will be probably a lot better, as you can see more history on that one. But in any case here, I don't know if you're intending to look for a long position here, or if you've been short and you're looking to get out. If you were short, we would have just gotten out this week. And the reason I say that is simply because if we look on the daily chart here, you can certainly see where the pyramids gave us a great entry early up on 26. And then if you followed these down, you would have been stopped out this week when the prices went above the flat part of those triangles. That's where we put our stops to tick above that. So that's how we trail our stops down. So initial entry here, all right, stop here, and then roll the stops down until we're stopped out. So we would be out of that market on the short trade. It's a little early on the daily time frame to get excited about a long trade at this point. Now, if you wanted to make this a very short-term trade and use the short-term 60-minute chart, well, that would have given you an entry already. But then you got to figure out what is the target on this. And the target on this, because there's not a lot of history, is probably going to be around 18 to 21 bucks. All right, so you got to assess that to see if the trade is worth it for you. So could be going in long, and I only would recommend a long position if you're going to trade it short term in that fashion. All right, let's take a look at your next one, CHPT, and see what's cooking on that one. All right, and Bill's saying he's looking for all longs here. All right. So this one here we had looked at before, right? And this one is starting to see some follow through, which I really like. All right, so the best we can hope for in this one, and I'll tell you why I say that, is between $4.68 and about $6.50, right? That's the target zone we drew in last week. And that target zone's right up here on the daily chart. So the reason I say that's the best we can do is because we have a red PTF down here on the weekly chart. So what's that is indicating is that the bottom's not in yet. So any trade to the upside is going to be a profit-taking move based on the fact that the shorts are going to be covering, so they're going to be taking those profits. So I do think you have an entry here to make it to that target. We're at $2.67. You got to put that stop probably under this pyramid, so just under $2. All right, and you've got the risk to reward in your favor. So there's a distance of 2 to 1 based on where your stop would be placed and where the profit is. So you're good to go there. So I'm going to put this as a buy. Good job. Okay. Now, here's another thing to watch for on this one. If by chance this owl over here on the weekly chart turns green, you may then get a nicer retracement, a longer retracement. Let's see what that would work out to be. And as you can see, if that turns into a long-term retracement, only confirmed if the owl turns green, then you may want to hold that position, because then the new target based on that chart would be $15 to $23. All right, but you can take a short term right now. All right, and let's see what happens when it gets into the target. So if you go long on this, bring it back next week and the following weeks, and let's see how it does when it gets to that target. And of course, always trade with stops on that, even though it looks like a really good certain trade. There's nothing certain in the markets, right? All right, WKHS. Let's take a look at your next one here. All right, so this is one too we were kind of keeping an eye on. What we were looking at last week, I believe, is for it to get above this red line, because this is where the stop would be on the short trade. So technically speaking, you'd still be short on this. It hasn't finished bottoming yet. And so keep bringing it back next week, but that is not ready for a long trade quite yet. All right, ICLN is your next one. Let's take a look at that one. All right, so this one now is definitely proven itself and starting to come up to the retracement area. So we're in the target zone. I don't know if you took this one already, but it is certainly now, in the target zone. It looks like it's going to go a little higher. We have still a very bullish 60-minute short-term chart over here. We got a green PTF. So more highs are coming. But unfortunately, it's not a change in trend. It's only a correction in a downtrend. And I say that again because of this indicator being red here. But it's very possible to get up into the 16s, close to 17 before this thing starts selling off again. So if you're in it, I'd stay with it and then get your stops a little closer once the 60-minute chart is no longer bullish, okay? So that one is not one I'm going to recommend for a new take today, but if you're in it, stay with it for a little bit longer. All right, so let's go to your next one, ENPH. ENPH, and this is Enphase. Enphase, of course, I believe is a stock that makes the solar battery situation and all that kind of good stuff. We had it at our house. It's excellent. It's an excellent system, by the way. And it had come down, and now it has bottomed and is starting to head back to the upside. Again, my eyes immediately go to that long-term chart where we have a red PTF. So basically, this is why I use these type of indicators. When you have the right tools, you can make a quick assessment of the market. This is showing me that any move up, and we're in that now, is temporary. As long as that stays red, we are in a temporary move to the upside. In other words, profit taking, pullback, whatever you want to call it. So we are still bullish on this pullback. And I say that because you can see the bullish pyramids here. You can see bullish here and here. So we're not done coming up. So let's take a look and see where this thing may go before it's done here. And let's see what we got here. So we got a high here, and from there it started retracing down. So I'm going to draw the fib retracements from this pyramid top here all the way down. And so I think you're probably going to about 144 to 189. And then if that PTF on the weekly chart remains red, all right, you want to start moving your stops up very close at that time. I'm not going to recommend it now because we're getting so close to the target in relation to where we could possibly put our stop, which would be here, that you don't really have a good 2 to 1 in the target zone anymore. So a nice one if you're still long, but at this time here, it's just too late to get into that. All right, let's take a look at your last one here, LIT. All right, and this is another one that looks like it's come down. I really like the fact here that you, Bill, wait for stocks to bottom and then turn around and try to get in early. That's an excellent thing. I do it myself. That's one of my favorite patterns I look for. All right, so let's see. What we try to do, though, is, of course, make sure there's a bottom in before we actually take the long position. And this is looking pretty good, okay? Couple things here. We do not have any red PTFs. So that's this indicator here. So yellow is neutral. So we got neutral here. That's good. And this is green. That's good too. All right. So that all looks good here. We have a bottom in here. We have no new pyramid after the bottom though. So we're just bouncing off there. We have a little resistance here I'd like it to go through. And we have an active pyramid here. All right, I'm going to say probably next week this is going to be good, but I'm not going to recommend it now simply because I want a couple things to happen. I want this to go green, and I'd like to get above this price bar here. I'm going to enlarge that just so you can see that. But I'd like to get above this resistance level. I'm going to put a solid line up here just so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'd like it to get above there to prove itself. And then if it does, we want to put our stop as low as we can afford to, at least under here. And if here, it would even be better. So I would say, let's put this on a watch list. And I wouldn't be surprised if that gets triggered next week. All right, but let's look at it again next Friday. Bring it back, okay? All right, so Bill, I think I covered yours, and I appreciate that. Great list, okay? So out of all of his, we got CHPT as a buy. All right, let's go down here and take a look at GNE. GNE. All right, so this has been in a very strong uptrend for quite some time, all right? And it's not done. It's still going up. Couple things you got to think about here, all right? One is, since 2022, this has been a powerhouse, right? And if we look at here, we still have green here, and this, look how big this is. So this is a wave 3 still unfolding. Now, in the Elliott wave sequence, okay, you have 5 waves in a trend, and they kind of look like this, and they represent the surges in a trend, and we number those like this, where waves 2 and 4 are the pullbacks or the profit taking in that trend. When you get to the 5th wave, it's over, okay? After wave 3, which is kind of where we are now, you eventually get a wave 4 pullback that's quite extensive. It usually retraces around 38 to 61%. So that's a big retracement, and that's your profit taking after a big move up. And so then after that, you get wave 5 and you take out the high, but wave 3 is the most powerful of the waves. And that's what you're in on the weekly chart here, is a wave 3. So the only concern I have is I look at the charts here, and this entry would have been a lot better than getting in here, because we have bearish divergence, which means as prices go up and momentum goes down, that creates a situation called bearish divergence, which means the trend is getting mature. It doesn't mean it can't keep going, but it's not as robust as it was earlier. And so we usually start to see that towards the end of a trend. All right, we don't use it alone. It's not good enough to use alone for timing or entry, but it gives us a clue as to the strength. We do not have bearish divergence over here on the weekly chart, but we do have it here. And so what we have to be a little careful of is the fact that eventually we get some type of correction. So this is a wave 3 here. This will be a wave 4, and then we'll have a wave 5. And what you'll see on this chart is something like this, and then that will complete the wave 3, because there are 5 waves inside the wave 3. And so that will be the end. All right. All right. So back to what I would do on this. I would wait for the wave 4 pullback on this time frame. Okay. And we could go up a little higher before we get it. And then I would look to try to get in after that comes back down, if you're interested in a long trade. Sometimes we actually trade to the short side on those wave 4s. But I think it's too late to get in. So I'm not going to recommend it. Okay. But if you're in it, stay with it, okay? But just keep your stops up in case it reverses. All right, let's see what we got here. Al, how are you, Al, today? Good to see you here. All right, INOD. Let's take a look at that bad boy. Okay, and Al's looking for longs here. Let me put Al's up here. Whoops. There you go. All right, so let's see what we got on this. All right, we've had a nice pullback. You can see that on the weekly chart. You can see that now on the daily chart. So that's looking good. And it looks to me like if we draw the fib retracements in, we might have hit that a little bit to the downside. All right, this one's not knocking my socks off, okay? The main reason is when you have a retracement this far down, the problem is that the wave 5 then stands a chance of being shallow. There's what I mean, okay? Doesn't mean you don't have enough profit potential, okay? But again, let's look at the risk to reward. If we put our if we put our entry here and we put our stop down here, your 2 to 1 has to go to the top of that area there. So I think you can find a better one. It's not bad. I'm not going to recommend it, but it's not too bad, but it's not one I would take. All right, let's take a look at AI. Talk of the town, right? All right, so let's see what we got here. All right, we had a nice move up, little pullback. There's your profit taking. See your profit takings in here? Okay, big move up, profit taking. Continues, big profit taking. That's the heartbeat of the market right there. That's how it works. So you kind of want to get good at not getting in just before the profit taking comes in, because if you're trading, you'll probably get stopped out during that time period and have to get back in. All right, so what do you do here? I'd wait this one out at this particular point, okay? The reason I say that at this time is that, okay, well, you got a green over here, which have had a big move up here. Let me just run a couple numbers here and see where the extensions lie here. I might have spoken a little too soon on that one. All right, well, yeah, that's not too bad. And the reason I say that now is because this is bullish. And if we put our stop here and here, you've got a good 2 to 1 into the beginning part of the target zone. And I do see now we have a green owl. I thought that was red. So I'm okay with that. All right, I'm okay with a long position. So let's put this down as a buy. Okay, good job, Al. All right, so that is a buy. All right, let's continue on here. All right, so WW, so that goes on the buy list. All right, WW, let's see at this one. All right, give that a second to load. We've got to move off the bottom. We got the pullback. We're starting to see some more ump come in. Let me figure out where the target is on this one. Okay, bullish divergence. This would be kind of an early entry, but let's get a short-term target on this, or at least an intermediate target. So something along these lines here, if this is a bottom. All right, I'm going to put this as a buy too. All right, and the idea behind this one is, again, you've got your 2 to 1 risk to reward. So even if you put your stop right around 628, 625, there's your 2 to 1 for profit potential. So that's okay. All right. You're going against a little bit of, it really is a little bit of an early entry, but I don't mind that because it's pretty bullish on the shorter time frame. So I'm going to put that down as a buy, WW. All right. Let's take a look at the next one, FSLY. And see how we're looking on that one. Okay, so we're springing up off the bottom here. Okay. No red PTFs. The one on the 60-minute has now turned green. Next thing to do is figure out where our potential target is on this. All right, so let's draw some fib retracements in. And we're looking probably around 50 bucks. Al, great job today. FSLY is another buy. Okay, you got a good risk to reward. All right, let me just make sure before I say that, let me just make sure, yep, you have no more active pyramids to the downside. These are bearish, indicating the correction, but it's been stopped out. So those are no longer active. So I think you could probably go ahead with this one. Okay, FSLY. All right, CNTA. Okay. Looks like that one may have been stopped out, may not. So we're going in a little early, but with the green PTFs on the daily, I like that. No longer there. That looks good. Again, let's figure out the target on this. I'm going to use this chart. Boy, this is not much history. That's the only problem with this. Let's just kind of figure out. It's hard to get an Elliott wave count. So the only thing I can do is figure out a possible target with retracements. All right, so there that is. We're a little close to the target. Okay, so I'm not going to recommend this one. CNTA. All right. SDGR. Let's take a look at that one. All right, so not much history on this one as well. On the weekly chart, got a red PTF here. So I would hold off on this one, okay? Red PTF on the 60. I don't like to go against that. That would have to change. And then we got to figure out where the target is. And the target, according to the PTF here, is saying, and this has a 75% accuracy rate, so it's pretty good. So it's saying that there's a 75% chance we'll get above 60. So I do like that because that's like 90% return on your money, 80 maybe. And we've got to go here. This looks good. This looks good. This isn't too bad. This is not good. All right. This has got to change to green or go yellow. So maybe we'll get another pullback and then it will go, or maybe it'll go up and then abruptly change to green. So put this one on a watch list and let's bring that one back next week to see if there's any change, okay? All right, let's do your next one here, DTC. All right, let's see what's cooking on this. All right, we see bullishness on the 60. We see bullishness on the daily. And we see a green PTF here saying we should be good for about, what would that high, about 886. So let's grab a horizontal line. And I say that simply because of the fact the PTF is green over here. So that's indicating that. The PTF is not a good enough reason to go long at this point, simply because if you put your stop here and you go here, you don't have a 2-to-1, do you? All right, it would have to get way up to 14 for that to be at least decent based on where we'd have to put our stop. So that isn't going to work out there. But let's see if we have a Fibonacci target that may be better. Okay, that could be a possibility. And again, boy, really tough to determine this because there's not much history. Let's go ahead and grab some retracements here, get them down here. So you do have some pretty good room there, all right, for that. Notice that's way above the PTF. That's at $10.37. So now let's see on this time frame, if we put your stop here on this pyramid, and there's your prices, you got 2-to-1 that way. So you put your stop at $4, okay, instead of down here as the weekly chart has that as its stop loss level. So I would say yes on this, okay? You've got the room for a 2-to-1 risk to reward. And the only thing going against it is not a lot of history. So it's tough to get any type of wave count. So it's purely a fib retracement profit taking zone on that one, okay? And then finally, boot. All right, let's see how boot's doing here. All right, a little more history on this. I like that. And it looks like we're coming up off a profit-taking area here. So let's see what the fib extensions are showing us here. So we got a target of 131 to 179 with a PTF target smack in the area there for a nice trade. Let's do that. So you're well into the target there, lower end, but well into the target. So that's a good sign. Let's see if we can use, we got good momentum here. Yeah, I'm thinking we're okay here. So let's put our stop right under, we can put it right under this level here, which is this level here. And I think that looks like a pretty good trade. So BOOT, boy, we found a ton here. BOOT is a buy with a target of 131 to 179. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is a buy, but this is a long-term buy. In other words, the target is set on the weekly chart, the long-term chart, right? So we have to give it time to get there. And we're probably talking about a 2-year long trade. Okay, so when I say long-term, this is where you're going to have your money tied up for 2 years in order to get to a possible target. So please keep that in mind. This is not a short-term trade, okay? All right, Al, thank you. A lot of winners there, huh? Good job. All right, Jim, how are you doing today? All right, XLF. Oh, boy, that took off, didn't it? All right, so that's off to the races. All right, pulled back here a little bit, so we were expecting that. This was marking our profit taking stage, and from there it has gone on. All right, again, where is this going? Let's see. All right, we have a situation here. It's kind of interesting. We have a top here, okay? And a lot of times when we get these moves up here, you could still be in a correction, right? Before it really goes. So it's kind of a tough one to call here. We don't have green here, yellow, but that's okay. We've had this kind of pattern here, but we do have bullishness, no question about it, coming in on the short-term chart. So you got to love that. I think last time we looked at this, maybe last week, maybe the week before, but you can certainly see, all right, that it has moved up past its high. Let me remove these previous retracement tools here. And so, okay, there we have it. Again, all right, my only concern, I don't know if you're still long on this or you're waiting or what the situation here, Jim, for you is, but again, I'm not going to recommend this because it's gone up so much. So is it better to get in here or down in here? Well, down in here. But if we were waiting for a break here, then we could have gotten in down here. But again, you can get a nasty pullback of profit taking into the 34 range. And I think that would stop you out. We have bearish divergence building here. Looks like one more high. So I still think it's going higher, but it's Russian roulette here. So I'm not going to recommend this one. But if you're in it, I would use the pyramids probably on the 60-minute chart, okay? So hopefully you're in that, and that would be great. All right, Frank, good to see you here. Oh, TLT, the bond ETF. Yeah, let's look at this. All right, so TLT is coming off its bottom. The problem we have with this is the red PTF on the weekly chart, indicating that any move up off the bottom at this time has to be looked at as nothing more than a temporary profit-taking surge from all the shorts. Okay, that's kind of where we're at. It's not done yet. It's still going up. We got a lot of green on the 60-minute, but you can see it's kind of getting into the upper territory. So how these fib retracements work, how these fib retracements work, let's go over here. So basically 70% of the time they reach this. 15% of the time they exceed that area. So we're getting into that little area there where it's going to exceed, where it is exceeding the 70%. 15% of the time they don't reach the 70%. So that's kind of the way that works out, the way in which we draw them off wave 2 and wave 3. So in this case here, it's still going up. And unfortunately, to get super excited about this, I can't because of this red PTF over here. So that's showing, again, profit-taking stage at this point. If this turns green, PTF turns green on the weekly chart, then I change my outlook. But until it does, I don't. And look at the history here, okay? Again, look at this. Many people thought this was a bottom, okay? And they started going in here. The PTF was telling us no, and look what happened. It curled right over. So now we're seeing the same thing on the longer term charts. It'll probably get between 106 and 121 and then roll back over, okay? So that's kind of where we're at now. It's probably getting to be a little bit late to getting in here now because we're at 99, but that's my take on it for now. But we'll keep looking at it. And maybe by chance, the PTF on the weekly chart is wrong. And so therefore, then we'll try to wiggle our way into it. It is wrong 25% of the time. So is this one of the 25% of the time? We don't know yet. Okay, we'll have to wait and see. Stay tuned, so to speak. All right, so that's kind of where we are now. And IWM, let's take a look at that ETF for you. All right, and this is breaking out. So we were waiting for this to break above this range here, to pull back, soared through. So that's kind of interesting. So let's update these drawing tools there, okay? And let's take them off on all the time frames because these we drew on, I think the last time we looked at these. We don't need those anymore because we're breaking out. All right, so what do you do with this? Well, It looks to me like in terms of a trade, the question is, are we going to take out the all-time high? We're breaking out of here, and I think there's a good chance. Let's take a look here and just see what that target zone is in itself. And chances are, if it breaks above here, it's even going to go higher. But assuming this is your target, okay, you need to put your stop at a position here now under here, and you don't have, well, let's see if you have, no, you don't have the 2-to-1 there, okay, quite yet. Here's what I would do in this. All right, we've had a breakaway market on this. Let's wait for this surge up to pull back and then pull the trigger if everything still looks good. So I don't like to chase markets. I got a feeling, my gut feeling is we got the breakout, so it fit that requirement. It's a little extended. So now any pullback, I'll jump in on it. All right, but I'm not going to chase it. Okay, so that's my deal on that. All right, thank you for that. Frank, good to see you here. Okay, Al's back. All right, let's take a look here. GNRC. GNRC. All right, so, all right, nice pullback. Reminds me of the cryptos, right? All right, pulling back up here. So we're kind of just in the infancies of a pullout. We no longer have a short position. So the short position would have been stopped out. Your entry would have been, you know, in this area here, and your trailing stops would have stopped you out pretty much this week, right? Okay, so that's kind of where we're at now. And we're getting, all right, green PTFs now along the bottom. So here's where it went from red to green. Anytime you see it going from red to green, that means it changed its mind, and it does that 25% of the time. Otherwise, when it goes to, like, for example, a red to a yellow or a green to a yellow, it does that 75% of the time, and it does that when the indicator is correct. All right, so let's see what we got cooking here. What do we do with this? Do we go in and make it a long-term trade at this particular point? Do we wait for a pullback after the big run-up it's had? It all depends on what your intentions are and where the target is on this. So I'm going to be a little conservative here, but it's still going to give you a nice target range here. So there's the target. And I think you got a 2-to-1 pretty much into the target, lower part of the target. So if we went in here and put our stop down here, you've got 1, 2 into the middle part of the target. So yeah, I think maybe you could do that, but I'm going to put it down as a long-term trade, okay? So GNRC, you're going to have to hold this for years, okay? It's not a short-term trade right now. It's too extended, okay? So that's kind of where I am on that. All right, let's go to RNG, Ring. Now, this is one we liked last week a lot, okay? Let's see how it's doing. This is one we recommended, I believe, last week. And pulled back a little. Now it's recovering this week. I'm still recommending this, okay? I still think it's got some room to go, because if you draw the target in here, again, we can look at this as a long-term trade getting up to 144 to 218, and where it's sitting at 33. Short-term, the PTF is telling us it's going to go above this high here. Let me draw a horizontal line in there, okay, and slide that down to the top of the price bar that created the green PTF. And our target on that would be, what, 43. If you put your stop down in this level here, that's more than 2-to-1. All right, let's see if we put our stop down a little bit further here and here, you got a little bit excessive. So you got to put your stop probably around the recent low, right around there. So I'm going to put RNG as a buy, okay, with your stop set here. And let me just give you that number. So I've got my data window open up on another screen, and that's 30.63. So you're talking about, I put your stop at 30. Whoops, let me just see if I got that right. Yeah, 30, ooh, okay, 30.51. That's where your stop needs to be, 30.51. Okay, so about three and a quarter points away from where it is. But the idea is you'll probably get into the 44 range on that. So that looks pretty good. All right, so there you have that one. All right, CANO is your next one. And big leap up. Okay. So I'm not going to recommend this one. All right. It's come up, you know, boom. You'd be chasing this market here. Not saying it's going to make another high, but we also have a red PTF saying we're going to get a pullback. And we'll see if it fills the gap a little bit. Okay. Gap up. If it comes down and fills this gap, or we get any type of pullback here, and then it turns around and we get some green here, yellow here, then yeah, I would maybe take a trade here and try to take it to 16 because you'll double your money, right? But it looks like it's going down probably into the upper $6 range or low $7 range. So in a cheap stock like that, that's a big difference. So I would wait it out on this. Let's put this on a watch list. Be sure to bring this back next week, okay? Because I got a feeling this will be a good at some point, but let's let it pull back a little bit. All right, yeah, and KR, right, these are all from the last 2 weeks, right? So KR is our next one. All right, so KR, all right, so in this case here, we got to wait a little longer on this. We're in the long-term pullback area. We still got a red pyramid here active. This is red, this is red, this is green, but with that red pyramid, that overrides any long trade. So we've got to put that on a, that's not a no-go for right now, okay? All right, Eleanor, how are you? Let's take a look at yours here. AV. Okay. So this is okay. So this is one we looked at before, and it looks to me like we're probably going to get back maybe into that target zone here. We got green and green here, but we'll see what happens. This is an interesting one because on the Elliott wave pattern here, I do not see an ABC. I don't even see it in here. All right. So if that's A, then this could be B. And then we go back into the target for C, and then it goes to 5, right? So that's kind of the way I would look at that. The indicators are telling us different things here, though. This is green, indicating we should have more highs before we go back down. So that's not going to happen. So we're still in B wave, okay? This is an indication here. This green PTF can stay green during the entire wave 4, okay? So that's okay. This is red here. So here's what I think. I think short term, we're going up a little higher, and that's B wave. And then this is wave 3 top. This is an A. And then we should slide back down, all right, into C wave. And then we should go from there, okay? This, the long-term aspect is kind of really good for this as well. Green PTF here, but I think we are gonna we have to finish this minor correction first before we can join the trend up. All right, so I think this is showing the trend is up and will be up, but we have to wait for this before joining it. So that's kind of where I'm at now, okay, on that one. So bring this one next week, and we'll see how it's done, if it's progressing down or if we're wrong, okay? But I think that makes the most sense based on the Elliott wave count. All right, so let's take a look at Apple, AAPL. Give that a second to load. All right, so Apple's pretty much done exactly what we thought it would do. Isn't that nice when that happens? Okay, so it pulled down into this target area, which is the finish of your correction. Your profit taking's done. Then it moved off, and now it's almost at the completion of wave 5 here. So that's pretty cool. All right, I'm liking that a lot. Let's see here. Yeah, so okay, so it looks pretty good on all aspects. we're seeing a little bearish divergence in the owl, okay, which is normal, okay, because it's a pretty mature trend. All right, pyramid stop here on this time frame is around 195. All right, we've got green here and green here, so I don't think it's done going up. And we've got green here, yellow here, green here, green here. Okay, so let me just see a couple things here on this one here. Looks like we have, I'm just going to take a look at this. The high here is 198.23. Okay, so we've already exceeded the high here. All right, so when this price bar ends today, we will probably get a yellow PTF over here. So this is probably going to be yellow going into next week. We have bearish divergence here. All right. So I think that target is looking pretty good for an area where we could see the end of the bullishness and then some bearishness coming in on Apple. All right. I'm not saying that, you know, Apple's not going to keep going up in 2024. I'm just saying that this is some type of target, would be wave 5. This may be the end of wave 3. And so then we've got that nasty wave 4 possibly out there someplace. Okay. So I would, once we get into the target a little bit more firmly here, I would start to really ratchet those stops. I'd use the stops on the 60-minute time frame. Okay, for that. All right, so that's that. Googie. All right, Googie also ran up so much. And then, wait for that to load here. Okay, still loading on the one. There it is. Nope. All right, it's on the weekly, still loading on the daily. It's kind of interesting, taking a long time there. All right, so there it is. Okay. Well, a long time. All right. So let's see how we're doing on this. All right. So we kind of anticipated a pullback. We kind of got it. Just kissed the target zone here. All right. And we've got green here now. No more red, red there, red there. I think probably we're in wave 5 on the weekly chart. So we're still going up. And I'm just going to roughly draw targets. So I think probably you'll get to around probably 180 on this one. Maybe, you know, 160, 180 is a pretty good bet, I think, on this. Does it need to pull back a little bit more? Maybe. Okay. But it looks pretty good here. We had a pull back here. Again, on this situation here, if this is a 3 or some impulsive wave on the 1 minute on the daily, rather, this is an A, because I don't see any really ABC there. B, we may go back into C and then go. Okay. But you know, that is only coming down to 120. And if you look at the weekly chart, that would be just a minimal, all right, movement back and forth representing volatility, right? So I'm not going to recommend it now because we're getting pretty close to the target and we could have a pullback here, but it should get higher in 2024. I'll say that. All right, let's take a look at DE. All right, so DE here bounced off its support down here, and it's looking a little toppy here. So we got bearish divergence building here. We've had a big run up here. We had a pullback, then another high. So we've got the hook in place. I would say a no-go on this. Okay. Now, if you're still long on it, all right, just put your stop. I don't know if it's a short-term trade or a long-term trade. I would put your stop right around these bottoms here. Maybe give it a little room. You could put it under here or maybe even under here. But I wouldn't initiate a new trade on it. Let's take a look at SMCI. All right, so this one we liked. If you remember, it came down to its target. And then we got some bullish pyramids. So that looks pretty good, and it still looks good. So I'm going to recommend this one as a buy. Okay, excellent. SMCI. And basically, it's not a long-term buy. It could be, but it's also, I would think it's probably going to get up to this high here in 2024. So not that long, but it's not going to happen next week or next month. You're going to have to give it a little time, but the target is 405 to 514. And if you look at, if you put your stop at the bottom here, okay, then look at your risk to reward. Okay, I think you're okay with that one. Okay, so SMCI is a go. Good job on that one. And then Microsoft, let's see what's going on with that one. Okay, we haven't had a real big pullback on that. We're kind of due, I think. We're seeing bearish divergence here. Okay, maybe a hook here. This is red. So I'm thinking we're coming down. Maybe it's too early to say if it's going to be a major correction over here, but a pullback here. We do not have bearish divergence. Okay, this is not bearish divergence, so that's a good sign. So that means we're still in a pretty significant move up here. So I just think you're going to have a little pullback here. You're probably going to come down into the low 360s before it goes back up. And, you know, it's pretty toppy right now. So I don't think I'm going to recommend that. All right, Alexander, let's see what you got cooking here. All right, LRCX. All right, so we're in the long-term target zone. Looks like we looked at this one before, right? So we're in that long-term target zone, and we'll probably go a little higher. But again, we're in the target zone, so I'm not going to recommend that one for a new entry. If you're in it, all right, start to be a little more aggressive in trailing your stops, but it still has some movement up, okay? So you're still in pretty good shape there. Don't have them too close, but don't have them too far away. And that's LRCX. AMAT, Applied Materials. Let's see what's cooking on that one. All right. So again, like the others, Applied Materials is hitting that target that we had forecasted before. And notice here now, this is a 3. This was your 4. All right, your A, B, C. And then now your 5. Bearish divergence. You always have bearish divergence between 3 and 5. We still got some more. We've got green, 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 yellow now. We're still going up a little bit, okay? But you're in the target. So again, like some of the others, you want to keep the stop close, not too close, but close enough that if it reverses, you get out with a nice profit, okay? So that's AMAT. All right, MSTR. All right. Definitely on a run right now to the upside. We've had a good run on, you can see the run up here on the daily chart and also the lift off the bottom. All right, so, you know, since 2022, we've already gone up from about 100 to 500. So that's a big move up. All right. So, you know, again, it's a little extended. I don't like to chase markets. I don't know if you're in it, but if you're in it, just use the pyramids for your stops and you're in good shape. I know you have our software, so I just use that. Okay. But I'm not going to recommend this as a new entry. All right. Gold. All right. So gold, we've got a target on gold, still at around I would say 220 is the target on gold. And, you know, it's pulling back a little bit, but I think we're going to get up to that 220 mark in 2024, okay? So if you want to go into that, you certainly could give that a shot, put your stop under here and go with that. You know, whether I recommend this one or not, you know, we'd have to put our stop around 182. And if we make it to the 220, that's not too bad. But also too, let's see what we got cooking here. All right, we had our pullback here. We hit a short-term target. I'm not going to recommend this one because we may get a little bit of more movement to the downside into the lower 180s. and that would give you a better price, okay? So I'm bullish on it, but not overly so. All right, UNG, natural gas. Unbelievable. Look at that. Still heading down. Red PTFs on the daily, red pyramids indicating, short. So you don't want to go long here. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get a retracement. We're starting to see it here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got some type of retracement up to maybe, 537 to 592. But I'm not going to go long on that because of the fact that we have so much bearishness on the other time frames. Okay, so if you like to counter trend trade, maybe on the 60-minute chart, but your 2 to 1 would have to make it to 565. So little rebound here, but then it should come back down again. Okay. All right, so let's keep going here. NKLA. Let's see how this one's doing. We've looked at this one numerous times. We're kind of trying to wait to get in for a long trade, right? All right, so if you got in long here, let's draw the line here. All right, you're hanging on by, a hangnail, so to speak, okay? You got a red PTF, so it doesn't look too good that that's going to hold. But, it could hold by a sliver. I would not go into this now, okay? At this particular point, let's wait and see if the bottom does hold or if we get a new bottom like we got in UNG. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So no recommendation on that. All right, DVN. DVN. All right, so we're in a pullback right now. Long term, this pullback is a wave 4, okay, on the weekly chart of some degree, okay? So let's just say, let's just say 3, 4, okay? A, B, C. Is C over? Maybe, okay? But a little too early to tell, and then wave 5. So big opportunity here. DVN needs to go on everybody's watch list. And I say that because we still have an active, I don't want to take it yet. We still have an active pyramid here, okay? So that's keeping me from jumping on this. We still have a red owl. So next week, all right, let's watch this. If we see some bullishness continue to come in here and go above this pyramid, then we could have a setup for a long trade. But don't take it until it proves itself a little bit more. But please bring that one back, Alexander, because that one could be a tremendous trade. Because if once this thing bottoms, I'll just draw, let's say it bottomed, if it bottomed today, you're looking at 87 to 114 and we're at 44. So that's a double your money if you get in early enough. But you don't want to get in now, okay? Because simply it's still coming down, okay? So let's give that another week or so, but bring it back. Excellent. All right, let's go to ExxonMobil, XOM. All right, so ExxonMobil's been pulling back after a decent run up for the last few years. You can look at the weekly chart and see that. We had a red owl for quite some time, and it just turned yellow. So here's the situation. When it turns red on this price bar, it stays red until it goes below that price bar again. And if the energy that it looks at is not equal or greater than it was when it first formed the red, it turns yellow. So when it returns and goes lower than the previous indicated low on the PTF, then it turns yellow because we did get a lower low, so it's right, but it's not telling you it's gonna keep going, so to speak, okay? That the momentum or the drive, the energy was not there to keep it red, okay? So, if you were up here and took a scalp trade based on this for some reason, then you would exit that here because that's the target. The target was reached. Now, what do we do with this now? Well, I think we're going to get a little bit more of a pullback here. Looks like we're going to get some type of maybe slight retracement. I mean, you could see short term because we have some green on this chart. Maybe we'll get up to 103 to 107. I'm not going to take that trade, okay? But then we'll see if it pulls back again and the bottom holds. If it does and then resurges, then we may have a long trade. But for right now, nothing on that, okay? I think some of your others are better. All right, let's keep going here. All right, let's see. Al is back with BBAI. Let's take a look at that bad boy. All right, so Al's saying filing seems to be moving up. I'm already in. Okay, let's see what we got. Not a lot of history. Very cheap stock. Okay, so keep that in mind. Starting to move off its bottom. Looks like it's moved off. It's correct the bottom. So everything is looking fairly decent on this. All right, so we no longer have an active pyramid, I think, on the weekly chart. That's been stopped out. And so the only negative thing here is we still got a little red owl here, but I get it, okay? I get it. So the potential reward on this is tremendous. You know, it's up almost almost in the $7 range, about 680 or something, because that's what the PTF is telling us here. You got green here. We don't have a green pyramid yet. You'll probably get one, but you have green here. I would say yes, Al. It's okay. All right. BBAI, because here's where I put my stop. Put your stop here at the bottom. Okay. I know it's far away. Problem is keeping it here. You may get stopped out on volatility before it goes. If you put your stop at the very bottom, look at your risk to reward. It's huge, right? I'm guessing here, but I mean, you know, huge and a huge profit. So that's a go. That's a green light, baby. Okay. So that is one that you can take. Put your stop at the bottom pullback, which looks like occurred in late October. Okay. And you should be okay on that. BBAI is a buy. All right. Sue. Okay, Bill, give me the stock again. Bill's saying, let me just show everybody your question. So the hook is from the end of wave 3 to the end of wave 5, with the bottom of the hook is the end of wave 4. Yeah, but sometimes also that if I'm reading this correctly, sometimes yeah, it depends on what time frame. So if we see a hook on the daily chart and we're still in a wave 3 on the weekly chart, that means the hook is going to be a major 4 on the daily and a wave 5 after the hook completes. And then that means a minor wave 4 in the end of wave 3 on the weekly, if I understand that correctly. All right. Oh boy, Al, ton more here. Okay, let's go. FUBO. FUBO. All right, see what we got here. Coming off its long-term bottom. I'm liking it. Okay. Again, Al, I think this is going to be a fairly long-term trade. I'm going to draw a couple retracements here. All right, that's not going to happen overnight. I'm thinking 14 to 22. We're at 343. So, you know, you'll get some progress on this in 2024, maybe up to 9 or something, maybe if you're lucky. Okay, but eventually should get up to those ranges. Short term, you know, same type of thing. You're going to have to give this time. And we have a green PTF indicating a quicker short-term high coming around 380. So I think it's good to go in now. So FUBO. Boy, I'm going to have to get another piece of paper. We have so many buys today that shows you the bull market is back. Okay. So FUBO is a buy. Okay. Long-term. I'm going to have to put long-term because it could take a while to get up there. All right. DBX. Good job, Al, finding quite a few of these. You guys are awesome. All right. Okay, not much history, a little messy. All right, we've got a PTF high Looks like it formed up there on the 44 range, so maybe up in here sometime. So, okay, we're at 29. So there's definitely potential on that. My only concern is we're starting to see bearish divergence. So here's what I think, all right? I'm not going to recommend this one as a buy because I think this is a 3, 4, 5 ending some type of movement, maybe 1, then we get a 2, then we get a 3, and it gets up to the target. So I think we've got a big pullback coming before we have a chance to get to that PTF high. So let's hold off on that, okay? Let's hold off on that for now. You can bring that back again. All right, MTCH. Let's take a look at that. All right, so move off the bottom here. Looks pretty good on the short term. Okay, so here's a hook. All right, here's the hook. Boom. Okay, I like to see the hook. Okay, the question is whether the hook is done. We still got red here. We do have green coming in here and here. I would say we still have an active pyramid to the short side. So here's the way I would play this. All right, I would wait for that pyramid to get broken here, because if it does, you're going to have a tremendous move up, and you're probably going to get eventually into the $100 mark, probably. So there's potential galore here. Let's give it one more time, one more week, and see what happens. So MTCH goes on a watch list, okay? I want that pyramid to be taken out. I don't like to go against the pyramids if I can help it, okay? MTCH. All right, GPR, GPRP. That's a tough one. All right, so let's type that one in there. Loading, loading, loading. Hopefully, is that the right one? GPRP. Yep, that's right. Okay, I'm not getting anything on that one. GPRP. I think I typed that in correct too. All right, EWZ. Let's go with that one. All right. So green PTF. All right, again, I understand why you're looking at it, but it's a little extended now. So no go on that one, okay? EEM. All right, like the short term, we took out the pyramid here. Okay, so again, 42 to 47, there's not enough profit potential. So no go on that. Dow. Let's see what we got cooking on the Dow here. All right, so it reached that red PTF. Yeah, so no go on this one, okay? We're at a target here, and you got a red PTF here. So yeah, it may go up a little further because the PTF and everything is green on the 60-minute, but I don't think it's going to go up much further. Okay, and then it should, based on the long-term chart, sell off again. And DD. All right, DD, we got a green PTF. That's looking pretty good. We got a red window here, so no go. Okay, I'm just going to go really quick as we're getting in towards the hour and 20-minute mark here. Okay, so let's take a look here. All right, great profit potential on mRNA. All right, sold way off, but we have a green PTF sitting here. So that green PTF alone is calling for a target at 500. Now, that's not going to happen tomorrow. That's going to take years to get there. We have an active pyramid to the downside there. We have bullishness coming in here. We no longer have a pyramid here. I'm going to tell you what I want to do on this one. We still have an active pyramid to the downside on the weekly chart. We still have a red owl. Things are looking good on the short-term charts. Let's wait and get a green pyramid first on the daily time frame before we do anything with this, okay? I have to have something to counteract the long-term pyramid, okay? And granted, there's many pyramids. We're due for a pull-up. There's no question about it. But let's give it a little more time, okay? Also, too, the owl on the weekly chart is still pretty significant. So give that a little more time. But I think that could definitely go on the watch list, okay? All right, let's take a look. What's your next one? GT? All right, so GT, again, a little extended on this one. On the upside, I do think this could be some form of bottom here. Let's see how much history is over here. Let's open up this weekly chart. Oh boy, that's kind of a messy chart. So the $1 million question is twofold, okay? A, is this a bottom? So far, it appears to be. And is this a sufficient pullback for a stop? Could be, okay? So then let's go over here. Bullish, 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 bullish. So again, we've had the retracement up. So here's the scenario on this. Is this, let me grab my mark, is this a 1, 3, okay? A, B, C, 5 going, making a new low, or is this the end of the run down and we're going up, or A, B, C long? That's a tough one, all right? I have to analyze this more, so I'm not comfortable suggesting this at that time, okay? So I'm gonna pass on that one. Okay, all right, let's see what we got here. Okay, Amazon, AMZN. Okay, let's take a look at that one. All right, so Amazon, we've been bullish on Amazon. It's getting close to its target now, though. So if you're long on these things, just put your stop here. I don't think I would go into this one, Alexander. I think it's getting too toppy here. I mean, it's at 149. Could it go to 175? Sure, that's in the target zone. Definitely possible, okay? But we're kind of getting close to also the beginning of that target zone. So I'm not going to recommend that. Go for ones where you have a more profit potential, all right? So Meta, all right, Meta is kind of interesting because it never came down to the high probability zone, did it? It got into that 15% area. And sometimes that's all you get, all right? Sometimes that's all you get. And now it's turned pretty bullish. So, it made another high here. So that's a good sign that that is over. And we're probably heading up. So I'm thinking here, if you put your stop here, and you go in here, you got just barely 2 to 1, but you'd have to go into that target zone. So I think we recommended this one. I'm not sure, a while back. I'll put it back on the buy list, but only because I think you got enough room for potential to get into that target zone at this point still, okay? So Meta we'll put down as a buy, okay? And then you have the Googles, okay? We looked at Google already. Now we'll look at Google, Googl, right? Okay, so again, this one, if you're long, great. We should probably start to get up into a target zone at some point here now. So my only problem with this one here, I think it's going much higher, okay? Let's open up that weekly chart. I mean, look at that, okay? That's a beautiful wave 3. All right, so the question is that if we draw the extensions, that's where we're going on Google, 173, 229. So long-term makes perfectly good sense. Where are you going to put your stop? We've already come off that bottom quite a bit. And it looks to me like we're probably going to keep going. If you want to go in now, I would put that stop right in here. Okay, right around the 120 mark, a little under that pyramid there. Okay. And then, you got your 2 to 1 into there. Okay. So would I recommend this one? Yeah, I guess we could, but I got to be honest with you. You should have already been in it, so to speak. So I'm probably going to leave that off the list. Okay. All right. ARM. If you're in it, stay in it. All right. This one, not enough history on this one. 60-minute charts extended to the upside, so no go on that. UNH. All right, UNH here. Probably going to get one more hook to the upside here. Okay, here's your hook, possibly. Okay, which means you'll get one more high. Is it better to get in here or here? All right, I think that answers the question of whether I'm going to recommend this one. On this time frame here, the same thing. I mean, so no go on that one. Okay. All right, NIO. Let's take a look at that one. All right, and this one, let's see what we're doing with this one. Okay, so we looked at this last week, and that bottom pretty much held. We no longer have an active pyramid here or here. Those have been stopped out. So the short trade's been done. Now we have some green coming in here. All right, a couple things you could do here. You could wait for it to clear this high before going in. That's probably the safer bet. Okay, but I'm going to put this down as a buy. All right, I think it's good enough right now that you can take an early entry. Put your stop down here, but look at your potential. Now, if you go in early and it does indeed come down here, all right, then you're going to get stopped out. And then you try again. Don't give up on it. One of the advantages of waiting for it to go up here is it decreases the chances of it at that point. Doesn't eliminate it, but decreases the chances of it going down to one more bottom. Okay, so I'm going to leave that for you to decide, but I am going to recommend it. Okay, NIO. All right, LNT. All right, this is, I wouldn't do anything long on this. You know, again, if anything, you might even have a short trade on this, right? Because here's the target for the short, and here's your entry. So if you get in here, put your stop here, there's your 2 to 1. Okay, so you're good there. Yeah, all right, but you still have a green PTF, green owl here. So I'm not going to recommend this one, but this is how we would use the PTF to scalp trade. So as soon as this turns red, you'd probably be good to go. Now, the other thing I like to do on this, and let me just erase this and enlarge this a little bit, is what has saved my butt many a times is even if this turns red, I don't necessarily just go. I usually like to see this, maybe get a pyramid to the downside, because that indicates one thing. This defines the downtrend, all right? And how many times have you seen this, okay? And then it goes. So if you wait for that little bit of pullback and then see what happens after that, you're far better off, okay? So I'm not going to recommend this one for a short trade, but it's setting up for one, okay, for sure, okay? All right, Eleanor, let's see what you got here. All right, GLW. All right, let me take a look here. All right, so we got that rebound into the target zone here. We've now got a green here. We got green here. So we're going higher in the target zone. So I would not go long on this at this time with the red PTF on the long term. Instead, we may get up to 31, 32, and then let's see what happens. So let's take a look at it next week, but I think it's going to sell off. WFC. Okay, this has moved sharply off its bottom. And again, I don't like to chase markets at this particular point. The better entry would have been, you know, in this area here. mean, you had green starting here. You could have gone in here at that particular point with a PTF high. And notice the PTF stayed green even though it broke its previous high. That's because it had enough energy and power to stay with the trade. So that would have been a decent, okay, trade to the PTF. And then now you'd hold it because it's still green. All right, but I wouldn't go in now. It's too late. Hopefully, maybe you were in that. I'm not sure. All right, let's take a look at this one, ARM for you. God, I love all these that you guys are looking at here. Super. All right, so let me just adjust this. All right, so here we got this bad boy with not much history. So it's kind of hard to get a take on it. I can tell you it's run up, so you'd be chasing the market at this particular point, and you do have bearish divergence building on the 60-minute chart, which does have sufficient history and a ton of pyramids. So we're probably a little too late to the party here, okay? But if it pulls back, you may have an opportunity to go again because you have a very strong owl here. I would just wait for a pullback, and then let's look at it again. BBOG, let's take a look at that one for you. All right, so this one has had a pullback. I like that. Not much history again on this, but it does have a PTF situation here. This is not bad. Okay, so let's take a look here and see what our risk to reward is based on the fact that it has come up a little bit. So if we go in here, excuse me, we go in here and put our stop here, which is 80, which would be down here, then 2 to 1 would be above that line there. Here's what I would do. You got bearish divergence. Put this on a watch list, DTOG. Let's bring it back. Bring it back to us next week, okay? What I'm looking for is a slight pullback. If we get a pullback to 100 at some point here, we may go a little higher. We may go to 125 here. And then, because this is still bullish here. But I'm still thinking it's due for a pullback on the daily chart, and that'll happen after the 60-minute chart tops here. And then I would be all over it, okay? So wait for the pullback. I think it's an excellent one for the watch list. So please bring that back, okay? All right, wow, what a session. All right, we're going on an hour and 32 minutes. All right, but worth every second. All right, so I'm just going to run down a recap, and then I'm going to close the room, okay? Because we're kind of over a lot of time here. Let me just repeat what we found today. And what I'll do is on the recording, I'm going to post the winners, okay? Takes me a couple hours to get that done and the work done, but it'll get up there by the end of the day, okay? So here are the ones we like. CHPT, AI, NIO, WW, FSLY, DTC, BOOT, but that's a long-year trade, 2-year trade, all right? GNRC, another long-term trade. RNG, looks good. SMCI, BBAI, FUBO, and Meta, MTA. Those are the ones. And we got a host on the watch list that I hope everybody will be bringing those back, okay, for next week. All right, again, thank you so much, everybody. Wonderful, wonderful picks you guys came up with. Just awesome. I mean, that's a big list. We went through a lot, but worth it, okay? That's how you find them. All right, so listen, I hope everybody's having a great holiday out there. It's a great time of year, all right? Enjoy it. And it looks to me like the markets are going to be pretty good, at least in the first half of 2024. Now, don't forget, the markets do a great job of sucking everybody in before they correct, right? So I think after the first half of 2024, you got to be a little bit careful because if we start getting up into the target zone for the end of a major wave 3, again, then we have to start worrying about a major sell-off, okay? So like I said, we thought that was happening, but we took out the high. So I think we've got to, that gets delayed. So that's kind of where we're at now. So this is why we always trade the trend. You know, even though we had a thought that we may be going into a bearish trade, we still had nothing but long trades because we were always following the trend. And that's what good trading is all about. Okay. So thank you everybody for coming, and we'll see you back here next week. Have a great one.